Thank you to the Nemaha Valley 4-H Club for the Pledge of Allegiance and the 4-H Pledge. We will now be getting ready to start the Stocker Feeder Show. Can we have, please, makeup area? Can all Angus stocker feeders please come to the makeup area? Our first class of stocker feeders are the male Angus division. In the ring, we have Shelton Crawford, Baylor Barnard, and Reese Barnard. Can all the Charlet stocker feeders start making their way to the ring? Our judge for today is Cal Schultz. He is originally from Farborough, Minnesota, where he grew up on a diversified livestock operation. He attended Butler Community College, where he was a member of the Junior College Livestock Judging Co-Team of the Year. He then transferred to Oklahoma State, where he was a member of the 2022 National Championship Livestock Judging Team. He served as the assistant coach at Butler while obtaining his master's degree in meat science from Oklahoma State. He currently serves as the livestock judging team coach at the University of Nebraska and is a lecturer in the animal science department.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for the opportunity to allow me to come out here and sort through the Stocker Feeder Show here this afternoon. Here to kick off our show today, the young man's calf's going to win pretty comfortably for me. When you get off to the side of this one, I think he's the best balanced, best looking calf in the class, and then when you step in behind the cattle, I think he holds a decisive advantage from just a body shape, power, and muscularity standpoint. Still plenty functional enough in his structure. A nice one to go ahead and win. It gets a little bit closer here between second and third. I opted to use the young lady's calf here in second because when the cattle are traveling, I think he's more comfortable off either end of his structure. He's particularly more coordinated in the usage of his rear leg, and then when he's stepping behind the cattle, while he doesn't have the same kind of just softness to his rib, I think he's actually bolder in the turn to his fore rib. He's got more shape up high and would indicate that he's going to continue to just stouten up with time. The young lady's calf that's going to round out the class is the higher performing one of that pair. That's the longer bodied, more extended calf that's softer in his rib. I really appreciate that about him. It's just when you get right on top of this one, and he's pretty flat there in his rib cage. He wants to get a little bit tighter in his spine as he moves. I just need to loosen that one up and stouten him up for him to work up any higher. But let's give those kids a nice round of applause.
First purple in that class went to Shelton Crawford. Second purple went to Reese Barnard, and blue went to Baylor Barnard. Next we'll have the Angus Heifer class. That will consist of Reese Barnard, Baylor Barnard, and Jonah Lovell. If the Charolais could start making their way to the ring, and the limousines also be thinking about it.
Here in our second class for the stocker feeder show, the young man's heifer is going to go win pretty comfortably out here in this particular class. A nice kind of a female from the side. She balances well, but where she wins this class is when you get in behind the cattle. She's got a pretty big upper hand in terms of just a boldness, power, muscularity, and dimension. A nice one to go ahead and win this particular class. A young lady's heifer out here isn't just loving the idea of being a show heifer today, and my compliments to her for keeping her composure out here, because she's actually got a pretty nice heifer. Like, in the grand scheme of things, she's neat fronted, she's soft bodied, her structure and angle reads right. What she's going to end up second here in this class is because she doesn't have near the same kind of just muscularity, power, and dimension as our class winner, but still a really nice one that I think with some more time and days on feed could definitely be a really fun project for that young lady. Let's go ahead and give them a round of applause.
First purple in that class went to Jonah Lovell. Second purple went to Reese Barnard. Now we will have the Angus return for overall champion Angus stocker feeder. Your champion and reserve champion Angus stocker feeder banners are in memory of Dean Goes and Barnard Angus.
As we get the champion and reserves out here in this division to pick the overall, I think both these second places out here are still quality cattle that have a lot of the right pieces. Their structure reads right. They've got the right kind of boldness and turn to their rib cage. They probably just don't have the same kind of just age advantage or just weight and performance and bulk at this stage of the game to compete with the two class winners out here. But between the pair of class winners that are in contention for champion, I think the young man's bull calf just comes with so much more power, so much more dimension, and still with balances with the right kind of look. He's going to go ahead and be our champion. We'll follow up with the young man's heifer for reserve.
Your champion Angus Stocker feeder goes to Shelton Crawford, and your reserve champion goes to Jonah Lovell. Next in the ring, we'll have the males Charlet Stocker feeders, Ella Schnelly and Hannah Schnelly.
See what tag number.
Okay, we'll just have one in the ring, and that is Ella Schnelly. Limousines, you are next up. You need to come to the ring if you haven't already. And Main Anjou, start making your way to the ring.
Just a single entry out here in the male division for the Charlet Stocker feeder calves. The young lady's doing a nice job of trying to handle this big, stout, powerful bull calf that she brought out into the ring today. A really high quality kind of individual. He balances well. He's big footed. He's got the right kind of boldness and to his rib. He's stout when he's stepping behind him. I still like the kind of flexibility and structure that he moves around the ring with. A nice one in this single entry class. Let's put our hands together for her.
In that class, Ella Schnelly will get a purple ribbon. Next is the female stocker feeder, Charity Schnelly. We need the Main Anjou stocker feeders and the Red Angus stocker feeders to head to the ring. The first class of Scimitars, start making your way to the ring.
The young lady brought out another nice single entry out here in this class. A really long-bodied, extended kind of heifer that's big-footed. I like the kind of shape and expression that she has down her top and out through her hip. Still has a neat look up front. I think she still travels well and up either end of her structure. Let's go ahead and put our hands together for her.
Congratulations on a purple ribbon for Charity Schnelly. In the ring now, we'll have the overall champion, Charlet Stocker Feeder.
We got a pair of really nice class winners out here in this Charlet drive, and I think they're both really big-footed, stout and muscular and powerful cattle. The heifer is arguably just a little bit more expressive in her shape up high, particularly out of her upper hip and through her stifle when compared back to the bull calf. But I still think the bull calf has just more than enough width and muscularity to him. I prefer the softness and boldness to his rib. I still think he hooks in stronger behind his shoulder and his leveler out through his hip, which helps him balance up just a shot better from the side. So we're going to go ahead and use the bull calf to go ahead and win this particular division. A young lady's heifer will be reserved. Let's give them a round of applause.
Your champion, Charlet Stocker Feeder, goes to Ella Schnelly. Reserve goes to Charity Schnelly. Those awards are sponsored by Blue Valley Door and Landmark Implement. Next, we'll have your main Stocker Feeder, and that is exhibited by Dayton Dorn. If we can get the first and the second class of Simmental stocker feeders to head to the makeup area.
Just a single entry out here in the main division, but the young lady brought out a really nice heifer calf. I think she balances really well from the side. That's a good-looking heifer that's feminine in her head shape. She's very long-fronted. Her necktie high on the point of her shoulder. She's dead level down her top line and out through her hip. I like the kind of softness she has to her rib. When you get in behind the cattle, she's maybe not the stoutest, the most powerful thing that's came out in the ring today. Maybe want to square her up in her hock just a bit, but still a very good-looking, very sound-structured, neat-made kind of a female. My compliments to her. Let's give the young lady a round of applause.
Your champion Main Anjou feeder calf goes to Dayton Dorn, and that is sponsored by Frontier Cooperative. Next in the ring, we'll have our first class of male Simmental stocker feeders. Claire Level, Caden Allington, Kaysen Allington. All Simmental heifer stocker feeders, please make your way to the ring.
a really nice class of calves out here. I think ultimately it sorts for me when the cattle are pulled to lead. The young man's solid black bull calf is the one that I prefer the most in this particular class, because when he's on the move, that's easily the soundest structured calf, who's the most relaxed in the angle of his shoulder and knee. He's got the most attractive set of his hip and hind leg, and he handles his spine and his top line with the most comfort in motion. And then when you step him behind the cattle, he's still one of the stouter, more powerful, and more opened up calves in this particular class, who still balances well from the side. A nice one to go ahead and lead off with. The young man's Baldy that's going to come here in second definitely hit me the hardest when the cattle came in the ring, because that's a big, high-performing and powerful made kind of a calf who the young man's doing a nice job getting shown off. Highlights his length and extension up front. That's a big-bodied steer who's arguably has the most shape when you step in, or bull, excuse me, who arguably has the most shape right when you step in behind the cattle. It's just when he's pulled the lead where he falls into second for me. He's big and coarse and open about his shoulder. He's too tight in the build of his hip and hind leg. Need to see him quite a bit just looser and more comfortable when he's moving around the ring for him to get around my class winner. A young lady star-headed bull calf that's going to round out the class, still balances good from the side. That's a long-bodied, extended kind of a steer or a bull that has a nice set to his hip and hind leg. It's just when you get in right behind the cattle, he's just not opened up enough in his forerib. He doesn't have near the same kind of just width or power dimension as the other two cattle in this class, but still a nice one to round out. Let's give them a round of applause.
In that class, first purple goes to Kason Arlington. Second purple goes to Caden Allington. And first blue goes to Claire Lovell. Next, we'll have our first class of 2 of Simmental female stocker feeders. In the ring, you'll have Addison Brandt, Dempsey Dorn, Grace Lovell, Harper Schmidt, Jacob Ward, and Kenley Allington.
I think we have a really nice class of heifers out here. Particularly this trio on the top end is probably the more competitive set that's came in the ring so far today. But the young lady's heifer that I'm going to land on, I think from her just look and balance from the side when she gets her stopped and set up, that's easily just the best looking and most striking heifer out here. She's really feminine and attractive up there through her head and her neck. It ties on high at the point of her shoulder. She's incredibly soft and deep in her rib. I think she has a very attractive set to her hip and hind leg, particularly when the cattle are pulled to lead. I think she still has enough just stoutness and power and muscularity when you get in behind the cattle. I think that's a really nice one to go ahead and lead off with. The young man's heifer that's going to end up here in second. He's working really hard out here, but heifer probably isn't presented to the same caliber as the couple other ones out here in this particular class. But I still think there's a tremendous amount of good in this female. That's a big-footed, very sound-structured heifer who actually maintains her top-line balance just a shot better than our class winner out here. I like the kind of power she has when you get in behind her. It's just from the side. She doesn't really near the same kind of just a look and presence. She's not quite as extended up front, not quite as soft in her rib, but I think there's a lot of good in that heifer, and with more time and days on feed, I think she can be very competitive for that young man. The heifer that's going to end up third, I think it's a pretty safe bet that you're going to have the best third place animal that's came in the ring so far today. I think there's a lot of good in this heifer. I think that's a very good bodied kind of a female who's got an attractive set to her hip and hind leg. It's just when she's pulled the lead, she kind of falls out of balance out here in this particular class. She's shorter and plainer in her neck, deeper in her chest. Her top line kind of wants to fall apart. I need to see her maintain her balance just a shot better for her to go ahead and get around the two directly ahead of her. A young lady's heifer that's going to come here in fourth is a really smooth-made maternal kind of a female that's good in her body. Big picture, she's functional in her structure. Just doesn't have the kind of look, presence, or presentation, or look and presence as the three directly ahead of her. Need to see her just a shot more attractive in her look up front and the way that she utilizes her rear leg for her to work up any higher. A young man's heifer that's going to come here in fifth, that's been giving him some fits out here in the ring. Another one that in the big picture and grand scheme of things is still a very functional kind of a female that's a sound structured and good bodied, just a little bit plainer in the way that she's put together out here. She's frailer in her bone work, gets off there in her top line, weaker in her loin. Just need to see her balance up just a shot better. And then the orange heifer that's going to round out the class that the young man's got, a shapely, expressively muscled kind of a heifer. She's just coarser and tighter in the way that she's put together. I want to see her softer in her rib and just looser in her structure for her to go ahead and work up any higher. But a nice class of heifers. My compliments to those exhibitors, and let's put our hands together for them.
In that class, first purple went to Harper Schmidt, second purple to Dempsey Dorn, third purple to Grace Lovell, blues went to Kaylin Allington, Addison Brandt, and Jacob Ward. In our second group of Simmental heifers, we'll have Luke Katz, Hayden Warner, Isabel Warner, It has been brought to our attention we have a special birthday in the house today. So we would like to wish Scott Tronick a happy birthday today. We know he is a dad of girls, so It's only right that he has a princess birthday. Look behind him. And I think if you want to stop by his camper, he has cake and beverages all weekend. Happy birthday.
A really competitive class out here, both from the animals and the showmen. I think are doing an exceptional job out here, but the young ladies heifer is going to win pretty comfortably for me. A really good-footed, incredibly soft and flexibly made kind of a heifer that's very good in her body type at this stage of the game. I like the kind of power she has when you step in behind the cattle. She balances extremely well when she's pulled the lead and when she's stopped and set up. I think that's an awfully good one to go ahead and win this particular class. I think it's very close between second and third, and I'm not going to sit here and just try to sway you one way or the other. I think they can definitely go back and forth. Me personally, I just prefer the red Baldney's extra just boldness to her rib. I think she's longer and leveler out of her hip. I think she has a more attractive build of her hock and her pastern, both standing still and when their cattle travel around the ring. Maybe it doesn't have the same kind of length and extension and look up front. She's not quite as just strong and right behind her shoulder when compared to the heifer in third, but still a very nice heifer to be sitting second in this particular class. A young lady, your heifer that's going to round out the class, I think is still very good. You do an awesome job getting this one shown. That's a high-performing, long-bodied, extended kind of a heifer that in the big picture still balances really well from the side compared to her contemporaries out here. She's not quite as neat in her chest, not quite as bold and opened up in her rib cage. She's just a shot shorter out of her hip and doesn't stay as attractive in the way that she moves out of her rear structure when compared to a couple other ones out here, but still a very, very nice effort to round out this class. Let's give them a round of applause.
In the ring next, we'll have our two groups of heifers compete for the overall heifer. You'll have Harper Schmidt and Dempsey Dorn and Blakely Katz and Hayden Warner. Foundation Scimitals, make your way to the ring, and first class of male stocker feeders commercials, start thinking about it.
I think this is a really nice lineup of heifers out here in this particular division, so I'm just going to run through my thoughts of them real briefly because I think there's a lot of different ways that you could go. The young lady's heifer that wins the first class, I think that the ceiling on this heifer is extremely high. I think where she's good, I think she's just going to continue to get better, and then where she probably is just a shot more questionable today, I think those things are going to come with time. I think that's a very neat fronted, a good looking kind of a heifer that's got the right kind of softness to her rib. I think her structure and feet and lower joints all read right. Out here in the show ring, she probably doesn't handle her top line just quite perfect. Maybe just isn't quite as bold in her fore rib as some other ones out here. But the question is, do you think she's bold enough and stout enough at this stage of the game? And I think she is. I think there's a lot of good in that heifer. I think she's going to continue to get better with time, and I think there's a lot of fun things or the one that would be really exciting to have in the barn at home. A young man's heifer that was second in that class, like big picture, just does a lot of things really well. That's a good footed, sound structured heifer that balance is good. And compared to the other three out here, it doesn't have the same kind of a look and presence at first glance, but I think you still have a very nice kind of a cow prospect for him to continue to show and work with and feed on. I think that one's still got a really bright future to her. The young lady's heifer that's going to come here in third. Frankly, I think just does a lot of things really well. I think that's a very good-footed, a very sound structured heifer that's got the right kind of body to her. She's got the right kind of dimension. And then when you get in from the side, I think she's still one of the better balanced, better looking cattle out here that's just pretty hard to pick a hole in. I think that's a really nice one that came out of the second class. The heifer that was second to her in that class probably matches the class winner in terms of just being good-footed, sound structured. Her stoutness and boldness is very good as well. With my issues with her, she's just a shop planer in her look up front. She's just a little bit bigger and coarser about her shoulder. She's another one whose top line balance on the move maybe just isn't quite perfect. So where she's good, I think there's a lot of good in that heifer, but her issues are kind of tendency to maybe just not hold up quite as well over time. So I think there's still a lot of good in that heifer, but I get a little bit nervous that she maybe just will continue to get a little bit plainer in her look up front. But man, that's still an awesome kind of a cow who does a lot of things good from a foundational standpoint. So I think there's a lot of different ways that you can go. I guess I'm treating this more as kind of a prospect show and projecting these things out and how good I think they're going to be in the end. The young ladies heifer at a class 2 is going to go ahead and be our champion. I will follow up with the heifer at a class 1 for reserve, but a very nice lineup. Let's give them a round of applause.
So your champion Simmental heifer will be Blakely Katz, and the reserve will be Harper Schmidt. Now they will compete against the male stocker feeder for overall Simmental stocker feeder. So in the ring now we have Kaysen Allington and Caden Allington with the 2 bull calves, and Blakely Katz and Harper Schmidt with the 2 heifers.
I think with the Simmental division has been very competitive on both sides, both on the male and the female side. I think that these top two are all really in each division are very competitive and quality kind of individuals. The bull calves are very stout, very powerful. I think they're going to go and make a very good herd sires for these young men someday. But out here in the show ring, I think they just read just a little bit plainer in the way that they're put together. They don't strike me or hit me quite as hard at first glance. I think that the heifers do a lot of things good from a big picture standpoint. And then out here in the show ring, I think they read with a tremendously high quality look from the side. I think they both are really fun to have in the show barn at home to feed on and campaign throughout the summer and the fall and into next year. We're going to go ahead and keep those two together for champion and reserve in this division. Let's give those young ladies a nice round of applause.
Your champion Simmental Stocker feeder goes to Blakely Katz. Reserve goes to Harper Schmidt. And those banners are donated by State Line Farms Simmentals. In the ring next, we'll have the Foundation Simmental Bull Calf by Jonah Lovell. This will be the only Foundation Simmental. The other ones are scratches. If you are a sheep exhibitor, if you want to come get your back tags, she has them up front here. We need the commercial stocker feeders to make your way to the ring. You're next.
Just a single entry out here in this division, and the young man brought out just a very functional kind of a bull calf. He's big-footed, he's muscular, he's powerful, he's got the right kind of body to him, and he still balances well from the side. I think functionally just does a lot of things really well. Let's go ahead and put our hands together for him.
Your champion Foundation Simmental Stocker feeder goes to Jonah Lovell. That award is sponsored by J&R Bueller Cattle Company. Next in the ring will be our male commercial stocker feeders. We'll have Dayton Dorn, Grace Lovell, Marie Lovell, Addison Koenig, Dayton Pullman, Isabel Johnson,
a nice classic cattle out here. We kind of got every kind of shape and he handles his hip and hind leg with a lot more comfort when he's pulled the lead. That combined with his extra body and power and dimension is what's ultimately going to allow him to go ahead and win this particular class. Young lady's gold steer that's going to come here in second. I think there's a lot of good in this calf. He's really neat and attractive up front. Another one that's got a ton of shape down his top. He's very powerful out of his hip. And at first glance, I think he balances well from the side. Going to come here in third is a very flexible, sound structured kind of a steer who's got more shape and power to make steer that's very level down his top line and out through his hip higher. But with some time, I'm sure he'll continue to fill out and be able to compete with a couple other ones out here. But let's go ahead and give them a round of applause.
First purple went to Grace Lovell. Second purple went to Dayton Dorn.
Well, first off, I'd like to say thank you again for coming, or for allowing me to come out here and work with you guys in the Stalker show. I'll be back tomorrow for the sheep and the goats, but can we put our hands together for all the people who helped put on the show today to help it run smoothly? I know there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes. With that being said, I thought this was a very enjoyable show to sort through. I thought the showmanship and the quality of the livestock has been very fun to look at, and thank you again for the opportunity. But as it comes down for Champion Reserve, like I've said a couple times today, I'm treating this more as like a prospect show, so projecting these animals out and who I think is going to go ahead and be the best individual in the end. While my Champion in Reserve are maybe just not cookie cutters in the sense that they just perfectly match up in type and kind, I still think that they're both very good, and I think they're just very good animals that would be fun to have in the show barn at home. And I'll go out and show you which my two favorite are, but thanks again for having me out.
Your champion stalker feeder comes out of the Simmental, goes to Blakely Katz. We'll now have the reserve come in, and that is Harper Schmidt. Your reserve stalker feeder also comes out of the Simmental, and that goes to Harper Schmidt. That concludes the stalker feeder show for this year. Thank you for coming. Scott Tronick. Scott Tronick.